It's just that there are so many people in the grave right now who never lived their dreams,
Yeah.
who never did
Yeah.
what they wanted to do. And even if I died today, at least I tried. At least I started. You know what I'm saying?
I think with everything that's going on, people are so overwhelmed and afraid and are actually, in my opinion, giving their power away. Where I believe that if you hang around nine broke people, you're going to be the 10th. If you hang around five scared people, you're going to be the sixth. All of those things. And yet, that part of owning your calling, owning your gifting, saying, telling a better story, because it all starts with, like you talked about, mindset. It starts with the story that we tell ourselves.
But I just held it and pressed it down as long as I could until it was crashing. I started crashing. It was like my life was just out of control. And I was like, okay, I got to do something. So that's when I decided to get help. But when you hold emotions in, when you don't deal with it, it is there. So it could come out as a lot of things. It could come out as, I don't know, fibroids like I had, endometriosis like I had, acne, all types of things. Your body is going to react to you not dealing with what's going on inside. And to my mind, I was like, I will never be in this position again. I'm going to strengthen my mindset. I want to understand myself. I want to understand people. I want to understand the people that's sitting in front of me because you went through what you went through so you can be a blessing. That's what I love about having a strong mindset. That doesn't mean that challenging times will come. What it means to me is I know what to do.
Welcome to Conversations with Roz Clark. I am Roz Clark, the Dream Doula, and I'm super excited to be here with you because I have one of my favorite people in the whole wide world. So I hope you are as hype and hyphy as I am. And this episode of Conversations is brought to you by Standout Storytelling Live. So when we start putting your story together, because your voice matters, your words matter. When you master your words, your life gets better, your relationships get better, your business gets better, and your bank account gets better. So click the link, find out more about how you can enroll in Standout Storytelling Live, and let's get at it. So this is my sister, my friend, one of the most amazing women that I know. She is a transformational life coach. She has an amazing story to share. And she's just, doing the darn thing because, I'm all about changing the lives of women who are destined to change the world. And when I tell you my sister is destined to change the world, and I'm so grateful to walk this path with her. So welcome, Maluam Rice. Welcome, sis.
Thank you so much. It is such an honor to be here. I really, this has been a long time coming anyway, but I'm happy to be here. So, to share my perspective and, help some people that's out here.
There you go. That's right. Help the folks out. And that's the thing, I believe one, I think with everything that's going on, people are so overwhelmed and afraid and are actually, in my opinion, giving their power away.
Mhm.
Where I believe that, first of all, women are going to help set this whole situation right, and we are going to change it, one interaction at a time, one relationship at a time, one piece of content at a time, one conversation at a time. So Malaun, when you're looking at what is going on in the world right now, what is the lens that you're looking at it through?
My how I'm looking at it is probably not the most popular opinion of how to look at it. But when I say this, I really mean it. I'm aware of what's going on. I'm aware. And I keep abreast. I don't watch, and I've watched the news in years. But honestly, because I know who I am and I know whose I am, I could care less about what is going on in the White House. I'm just gonna be honest because his name ain't God, and his name ain't Monty or Fabian either. Those are my parents. So other than that, I mean, I get, I just am detached from being a part of a system, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yep, 100%.
I do understand that things that, for those who gonna see this and be like, she delusional. No, she not delusional. She aligned with God. That's what she is. And I'm aware and I understand that some of the things that are happening or will happen will affect me, but it is what it is. So unless we go organize and get together and do some things, it is what it is.
100. I get it. So let's take a step back, because I think it'll be very interesting for people to see where your perspective comes from.
Okay.
So you had a life-altering event at a very, very young age that you have shared on many different platforms. So share a little bit about what happened and your journey from there to now.
Oh, sure. So, at 10 years old, I was sexually assaulted and kidnapped out the streets of Chicago. Yes, I'm from Chicago. Yes, the Windy City. But I was 10. It was traumatizing for me because um, everything that was pure about me it was attempted to be taken away from me. I had to get my power back at some point as I got older. But I went through a lot of emotions, because I mean it was 10. I mean, I was playing with Barbie heads and watching strawberry shortcake and have strawberry shortcake lunch boxes, all the stuff that we did at 10 and back then. But I transitioned to being, a preteen, then you have your menstrual cycle that comes, so you already got an attitude. Then you go into high school where you're trying to figure out who your friends are. You're trying to figure out if this little boy like you or not. You already angry. And I was already angry. I didn't know that I was angry. I didn't know what to do with all those, the pent up feelings that I had. I didn't know what to do with that. Then I went to, became a young adult and I was drinking a lot, trying to make my feelings go away. And, most people who drink and smoke like that, they don't want to feel. So I didn't want to feel it. But after I was done getting drunk, my feelings and emotions that I didn't deal with was looking like, we're still here. So are you going to deal with it or not? So long story short, I ended up dealing with it. I had a life coach and I went to therapy, to deal with those deep seated emotions that I had. And once I figured out that it wasn't my fault, what happened to me, it was no way that I could possibly prevent what happened. And everything that happens for a reason. Nobody wants to hear that when it's trauma, because trauma is all types of things, so nobody wants to hear that, but it is what it is. And so what I've learned in my journey is to well, first of all, my relationship with God. All of this led me to my relationship, to being closer to God. I thought I was close to God, but I really wasn't. I wasn't aligned. I loved him. I know what people taught me, but I wasn't aligned with who he is and what he wanted me to be. I was aligned with what the church said I should be, what the world said that I should be, and how I should feel. And once I started going through my healing process, and once I started understanding who he is, that shift started to take place.
So while you were going through that journey, like you said, it happened at 10. And then, like you said, you go through puberty. So at each iteration or each change, were you still connected with what happened, or did you push what happened away?
Oh, I did like what everybody else in the world does, or most people. You push it down because you don't want to feel. So that's why I was drinking. I was like, oh, I feel something, drink. This feels familiar. I want to feel it, drink, or whatever I was doing at that time, but definitely drinking a lot. I had a disdain for men because that's where my pain came from. So naturally, I was very disrespectful, you know, to the men in my life. And if you're watching this, I'm sorry. I wasn't in my right mind. I didn't know who I was. Because I always said if I see some of them, I will apologize. So if you see this, I'm sorry. So I apologize. But it wasn't a thought, really. I didn't really, until something triggered me or reminded me of it. Other than that, I wasn't really thinking about it. But when you hold emotions in, when you don't deal with it, it is there. So it could come out as a lot of things. It could come out as, I don't know, fibroids like I had, endometriosis like I had, acne, all types of things. Your body is going to react to you not dealing with what's going on inside internally. Some way, somehow, it's going to be like, look, we don't want this. It's like time out. Like,
Right,
it's like you gotta
right.
do right. So it's going to come out some way. Whether you have a heart attack, you have cancer, it's going to come out. Yes, we have environmental factors, but a lot of it, but it always starts with you not dealing with your emotions.
Yeah,
So
I mean, I always say if it doesn't come out of your mouth, it's going to show up in your body.
it's going to show up.
Yeah.
It definitely is going to
Because
show
it
up.
has to, because it's energy, right? And so if you don't know how to process or let that energy dissipate or address it and not hide it like you were saying, but address it and banish it or deal with it or heal from it, whatever that is, it will keep coming up. So while as you were growing up, coming through this, did you feel like the people, because I'm sure family members, some knew or whatever, did you feel like there was kind of this buffer or people were walking around on eggshells with you, or was it not spoken of? How did you all deal with that?
I think we all dealt with it the same. Once it happened, my parents did take me to a therapist and everything, but it wasn't super effective because he was a man, and at that time I wasn't trying to, and they were just trying to get me help. I don't blame them for that. It's just that I wasn't trusting another adult man, even though both of my parents were sitting right there with me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I don't think it was that. I think for the most part it happened, and we all moved on. You know, and nobody really. Well, I don't know. God bless her. So I don't know how my grandmother felt because I was with my grandmother under her care at the time. I don't know how none of my family really felt at the time because I didn't start asking until the last 10 years, because I was going through my healing process. I actually wrote the man who did, I wrote him a letter in jail, and he had it sent to the church that I belonged to at the time years ago. And he wrote back, he said he didn't remember me. That's not uncommon, for people who, because he was in jail again for sexually assaulting another woman, because I kept tabs on him with the Illinois Department of Correction. So he kept, you know, he's a repeat offender. He's out now. But by the time, but I wanted clarity at that time. I wanted clarity and I wanted to know why he did that to me. So at the time, the church I belonged to, the pastors were gonna go with me to the prison, to because I was gonna ask questions. But he was released by the time I responded back to him. And I was gonna say, hey, I'm gonna come and visit you, but he was released. So at that time, I think that's when I started releasing it. I
Mhm.
started saying, you know what, I don't need um, to clear that plate. I'm gonna clear it up here. I'm a,
Yeah.
just it is what it is. It happened. I don't need him to explain anything to me. What I do hope he is doing, I hope he is reformed because what he did say is he gave his life to God, and I hope that was true. And I hope he's out here helping men who are like him. I really do. I wish him the best. I mean, I forgave him a long time ago. I'm not sitting here harboring on what that is and how that could happen or what you did, and that was could have easily been the case, but I just held it and pressed it down as long as I could until it was crashing. I started crashing. It was like my life was just out of control. And I was like, okay, I got to do something. So that's when I decided to get help, you know. And I definitely encourage anyone who feels like, they're gonna crash and their life is out of control, go get help therapy. Find a therapist that you vibe with. Because there are a lot of different therapists out here. You're not gonna vibe with every therapist. It's like me being a life coach. Everybody's not gonna vibe with me, and that's okay. I'm okay with that. You know, find a life coach that vibes with you. But I got to the point where I am now because I really kept surrendering to God. Like the first time I remember, I was like, this cannot be what the land of milk and honey look like. This can't be it. Like, help me out here. And The one thing I learned is when you ask him, he gonna tell you. He gonna show you. You gonna know. He gonna send somebody. Some go out and you just be like, wait, I was just playing. So that's why, yes, that's why the in the word it says life and death is in the tongue. You put it out there to the universe. It is out there. The universe don't know if you playing or not. So
Correct.
so I just got to this point where I consistently worked on my mindset, to the point where the last therapist I had was like, can you focus on something else? I think you've done enough work up here. Focus on below your neck. Go find a man. Go do so. I was like, which was true. But I was, because in my mind, I was like, I will never be in this position again. I'm like, I'm going to strengthen my mindset. I want to understand myself. I want to understand people. I want to understand the people that's sitting in front of me, not realizing that I'm going to attract me broken, me functional, me at different stages of my life. Because every time I have a client that's sitting in front of me, I'll be like, oh Lord, that was me at 27. Oh Lord, that was me at 35. Oh Lord, that was me at 16. Whoa. So you're going to attract that because you went through what you went through so you can be a blessing. And the people may not see that, but that's what it is. I mean, that's just like me trying to tell somebody who got diabetes how to go get through diabetes. And I ain't a doctor and I don't got diabetes. So
Hey, I hope you're enjoying this episode. I just wanted to take a minute to tell you that you need to be sitting in this chair or a chair very much like this. There is somebody who needs to hear your message, and you can build a freedom lifestyle brand that will give you the time and the financial freedom to focus on the things that matter most to you, spending time with those that you love, traveling, supporting the organizations and nonprofits that are important to you. And you can do that by what? Telling a better story. So join me in my Standout Storytelling Live, where I will teach you how to create and craft your transformation story that begins to give your audience an opportunity to connect with you, to know that what you have to offer is what they need. So if you're ready to build your brand and build your lifestyle and build a business around it while making a difference in the lives of others, click the link and get the information on how you can register for Standout Storytelling Live. And I will meet you in this live Zoom workshop and work with you directly on building your story, mastering your craft, and understanding what this digital economy is like and what you can do within it. So look, thanks again for checking out the episode. And as a matter of fact, let's get back to it now. I'll talk to you soon. Peace. So, do you think that your journey informed your practice now as a life coach? Is like your experience from what you experienced, all the things that you did to self-medicate it, and then getting the support that you needed? Does all of that inform who you are now and how you show up as a transformational coach, as a life coach? Is that what led you to this practice?
no, that's the funny thing about it. You could not pay me to think this is where I would be now. I wanted to be, and every time I speak anywhere in front of audiences, I say, I was trying to be the president or vice president of Pepsi. I remember I applied to Pepsi so many times because I wanted that career, because my background is in marketing. I have the degrees, I have the master degrees, I have the experience, and I wanted to have my office overlooking, Lake Michigan, and that's just not the route that my life took me. It was so funny because it was just like people that I work with started coming up to me telling me how they were sexually assaulted, and it's not, I wasn't wearing it on my sleeve and really not sharing it with people. So I'm like, why is she telling me this? And then it just kept happening. I was in a grocery store trying to get lettuce. Some woman just walked up to me, and I'm like, it started telling me her story, and I was like, I just wanted a salad. Like I did, but that's when I started to realize that I have this energy because I'm aligned. I have this energy about myself that people are drawn to me. and they're drawn to me because of who I am. And it took me to go through this journey to understand who I am because I didn't know who I was, you know.
Okay.
And so now, and it's still now, it's like an onion. I don't know what layer of the onion that I'm on, but it keeps getting pulled back in different, times of your life. When you are, as most of my married friends tell me, just wait till you get married. That's gonna be another layer. So, listen, that's why I'm aligned with God right now. so, I'm not saying that's gonna make it any easier, but at least you know what to do. And that's what I love about having a strong mindset. That doesn't mean that um, that challenging times will come. What it means to me is I know what to do. I know I could, I do my affirmations. Like it's like clockwork now. I was having a problem with a tire on the espresso and I thought I was gonna flip over the way that was sound. It was just my fender lid hitting my tire, but it sounded like my car was gonna blow up. So I went immediately into my affirmations, all is well. Everything, I just went into it, just because I could have went to my subconscious mind with all your negative thoughts, all your past traumas, everything is stored in there. I could have went into, oh God, I'm just gonna die. Da, 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 da. So you put that energy out there, then you might, you know. So I prefer to do the affirmations, and say everything is working in my favor. You know, yeah, how it's going, things are gonna happen the way it's supposed to. I'm just in allowing. Even
So, and do you do that for your clients too? Is like that,
I
is
teach
that
them that.
part of your work? Yeah.
I teach them that. I teach them, you know, that because I will say this until I take my last breath. Affirmations saved my life. They saved my life. I didn't even really know what I was listening to at first, but I just know I felt different. Like, ooh, like it really, I felt, that my mind, like how I felt about things wasn't the same. People would say ignorant stuff that might have took me under and really changed who I am, and it might have hurt my feelings to a point that I would isolate. And to now, it's like, I'm not saying my feelings don't get hurt, but I don't care. If that makes sense. It's like,
So talk
what is,
about that though. So, because a lot of people are living with, okay, I hear this affirmation thing, I hear people talk about it. How how does saying words change who I am or change my experience? Talk a little bit about that. If you were someone who was sitting in front of you saying, like, how does that change anything? So talk a little bit
because
more about that.
Sure, because it's just like I said, the word says life and death is in the tongue, you know? So I usually tell people because that's not taught and at all, because I was in it, I can't say necessarily in the Black community, Hispanic community, because I spoke in front of a really diverse set of women who were white, Black, Asian from all, when I asked them about affirmations and mindset, I said, who taught you? Who in here knows about it? And nobody out of, I think it was 150 women raised their hand. And that's partially because, and I can say that what I said to them and what came to me at that time is because our parents, our grandparents, they came out of the civil rights movement. They came out of from women's suffrage. They came out of all these different environments where survival was important. And so they taught us survival. Now that we're in this different generation, that's why I tell people unlearn things because what worked for them is not going to work. A lot of it is not going to work now because we're in a different time. So for they didn't have time to teach us about mindset. They was too busy trying to make sure we eat, make sure we had clothes, make sure the man came home, make sure he wasn't cheating, whatever it was, make sure I'm taking care of my mother, make sure, it was all of these other things. They didn't have time to teach us mindset. You know what I'm saying? So now that we are at a different time and we're older and we understand that we need to heal, what affirmations do is it literally reverses the negative thoughts in your head. And I mean all of them. So just like in my head, because I've been at some level of my life, I've always been told I was overweight, I was fat, and I've started understanding um that because right now I'm overweight, and not for long. Not for long. And it's partially definitely due to menopause. I would say that, but it's also due to the fact that I believe what people were telling me.
You
Because
identified as overweight. So
yeah,
that's what you absorbed and took into your identity. And so you had your body match your identity. Is that what you're saying?
because I believed it. Once you believe it, then it's true. You know what I'm saying? So this is like if somebody said, if you got 20 people to tell you you're a drug addict, you're a drug addict, you're a drug addict, you're a drug addict. Like, maybe I am a drug addict. Especially if it's people who you respect or love you telling you that, you like, okay, well, maybe they telling me the truth. So people believe that, and that's stuck back here in your subconscious. And futuristically, you like, why am I calling myself fat? Because I'm not, I don't consider myself fat. I just need to, I am pleasantly plump.
I
Pleasantly plump.
I think the piece about the drug addict is very interesting in that I have a friend, a really close friend. I mean, I have a couple of friends in the fellowship in different areas, and yet I have a friend who deals with substance abuse issues on the regular. And one of his challenges is that he's also a metaphysician. And so the 12-step program doesn't work because if you start out by saying, "Hi, I'm so and so, I'm a addict, alcoholic, I'm blah blah blah," you're saying I am.
And
So
that's what you are.
right. And so there are
Yeah.
people, I mean, obviously that program has worked for a lot of people, but it does not align with people who are like, if I speak it, I become it. So it's a very interesting conversation around that. And, he's willing to do the work. And yet that just doesn't resonate with who he is and how he shows up in the world.
Yeah, it's a deeper thing, he might have to go, and I'm just not saying, he might have to go deeper to why he turned to substance abuse. It literally could be something in his subconscious, literally, that came up and told him blah 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 blah, and he believed it, whatever it is. If it's just that we as a people, once you get to a certain like what happened to us may not have been our fault, but our responsibility is to heal. Is what I'm trying to.
Mhm.
Is your response? It was my responsibility to say this is not working for me anymore, and seek out things to help me get to where I think I wanted to be, or I thought I
Yeah.
wanted, because I had to figure that out along the way too.
Yeah.
So the thing about it is, I tell my whole thing, as you know, is you choose you. We are, especially as women, we taught to take care of everybody else
Right.
before we take care of ourselves. Whether you're married, whether you got kids or not single, we all are trained like go take care of everybody else. That's why a lot of us are codependent, which is not a good thing. But choose you. What do you like? What do you like to eat? What boundaries have you set with everybody else? Why everybody is setting boundaries with you, set boundaries with other people. It's okay to set boundaries, definitely. Go to a therapist, go do something that makes you happy. You don't have to do anything. The only thing you have to do is die. Really. We can't control that or when it happens. But the thing about it is maximize the time that you're here. You know what I'm saying? Do what makes you happy. If in your head you see yourself from since you were 12 going to Paris and you ain't did it, why? Buy a ticket. You ain't got to go with your girlfriends, go by yourself. Plan your
Right.
own. You don't have to, or there's a lot of traveling groups out here that are safe. Do that. If you let's just say you've been working in maintenance at a school and you want to be a principal, why are you not the principal? Go to school, get the degrees, and step up there, step in that role. Just like I was talking to some friends, what saddens me is I have so many friends who like state and federal jobs because they have to, or they stay there because, oh, I want my pension. Look what's happening now. He taking it all away. And I told them, if this job was taken away from you, what would you do? Now they have to answer that question.
Right.
You
Right.
know, nothing is guaranteed. Back in the day, you'd be like, get you a good government job. nothing is guaranteed. Nothing is, you know what I'm saying? So, are they waiting and being miserable for pension? Do you
Right.
not believe God can provide you? Like, but if that's what you want to do, he gonna let you. But the thing about it is, me personally, I don't believe that anybody got to be anywhere that they don't like to be. You know what I'm saying? We got goals and different things, but if you waiting for a pension, why you don't retire today? What happened?
Hmm.
Because now you understanding that they could do, anything they want, which is what they have. I seen post yesterday, people, oh, this that 401k is going away in my pension. I'm just like, this is what you were living for?
But I think that one of the important things in that, and it's very in tune with the work and the opportunities that are happening now, that most people were, there was a path that was supposed to be right, or the path that was, maybe the better word was safe. And yet, and that's why I have been pushing people all along, having come, left a marriage after 30 years. One of the things that I knew was definitely important was to be able to control. If you don't want to be afraid of the future, then you plan for it. You plan
Yeah,
for how you build a business. You plan for how you build a brand. You plan for how you circle, you surround yourself with like-minded people. One of my
correct.
friends, and it's an old adage, if you hang around 9 broke people, you're going to be the 10th. If you hang around 5 scared people, you're going to be the 6th. All of those things. And yet that part of owning your calling, owning your gifting, saying, telling a better story, because it all starts with, like you talked about, mindset. It starts with the story that we tell ourselves. So what
Period.
story are we telling ourselves? And are we brave enough to change the narrative, to begin
Correct.
to create a better world? Because that's when the affirmations really do begin to work, because now I've made the decision, I'm owning it, and now I'm speaking it. And then after speaking it, I have to walk in it.
Yes.
Got to walk in that. If I'm saying that I am changing the lives of women who are destined to change the world, then there are some women that I'm not for and that are not for me.
Hence why I said what I said earlier. So, and we know that. And I want to go back a little bit and say, I'm not saying the people who had government jobs and state jobs, like, you were promised something. I get it. But the what my whole thing is I know most of those people got dreams in their heads and they haven't lived them. And that's what I mean. So me personally, if I was in that position right now, I would be going to get an LLC. And even if you don't do nothing with it right now, at least you have it, so if you don't have to go through the process down the line. Get your LLC. If you want to, think about when we were kids, how they sell cookies and candy and chips out of the neighbor's house 3 doors down. We was lined up when we knew that when that candy store was open, right? Ice
Right.
cream trucks, those things, just those are some, just to name a few things. You want to do nails, go to nail school. It's just that there are so many people in the grave right now who never lived their dreams,
Yeah.
who never
Yeah.
did what they wanted to do. And even if I died today, if I died today, at least I tried. At least I started. You know what I'm saying? Yes. So with I'm sorry, that's my dog, my Amazon package here. Sorry. I know that's what it is. So he telling me, okay, thank you, Bailey. So with that being said, we just have to do a deep dive. I did a little research and I found out that I think it was 85% of the people in this country don't have goals. They're too busy working and trying to provide for their family. So stop, set some goals. I don't care if it's just to plan a trip. Do start there. Look into an LLC, what it takes, how much it is. Do all those things because there's nothing's impossible. We making it possible.
Right.
We listen to a system that tells us it's impossible. It's not impossible. Thus says the Lord. So, but that is what keeps me, the knowing that um that God is here. He's real. He's everywhere. And I can feel him and see him, and I can hear him through people sometimes. They don't know what they're saying, but I know, you know, what they're saying. And it's the fact that I, for every person who has an ear to hear, who wants to change, who wants to strengthen their mindset, I'm here for them. But if you don't, that's okay too. I'm still gonna love on you. I'm not gonna not love on you. That's just a decision you made for yourself. But don't be afraid. Fear is not of God at all. And I know everything that's going on right now, it seems like, the work, I hear people, the country on fire. We go and black people are this and we are, and I'm like, we went through slavery. What y'all talking about? Like, what? We went through our specific generation didn't, but we came from an ancestral line that did that.
Right.
That we got some values and some strength that they do. So I would say work on yourself, figure out who you want to be, and make a decision. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be the best version of myself, which is what I teach people to be. Whoever your version of yourself is who you are. Rise and who I am are two different people, but we do have a mutual stance. We want to see people thrive and survive and go around the world and change it, because we're here to create. We're here to have fun. Go have fun, whatever fun is to you. What, just do it. Just live your life. Do whatever it is. Stop thinking everything is demonic. Everything ain't demonic. So
Right.
just go live your life, and do what it is that you want to do, because why not?
So tell me, who is your ideal client and how do you want to serve them?
My ideal client is a highly functional woman, meaning, and I say highly functional because I get a lot of people who come to me who actually need therapy, and I'm not a therapist, you know,
Yes.
and I'm not going to pretend to be one. I have told people, when you go to therapy and you're feeling a little bit more, understanding, unpacking these things, then come back, because as a life coach, I'm here to push you. I'm gonna make you mad. Sometimes it's not gonna be fairy dust and cupcakes all the time. You're gonna be mad. You're gonna be like, I'm mad at her. Whatever. I don't care. But highly functional, who knows that they want something different, just not sure how to get it. You know, they go to brunches. You might see them a happy hour. They might be a CEO of a company. They might be a small business owner like myself, you and I. They are what I'm really attracted right now are 30-year-olds, and I understand why. Because that's what my transitions to take place. 30-year-old women between 30 and 38 right now are like, help. And I'm like, yes, it's the great age. Yes, yes, come on. But generally it's women between the ages of 30 and 60. Doesn't mean I won't accept, or help anyone who's beyond those ages, but that's what shows up to my workshops. That's what shows up in my inbox. That's what shows up. But highly functional and knows that it's something else, and they just don't know how to get it. And they know that they need help. They know that they need to heal. They know that it's a different level, something else in them. They just don't know how to get there. And also who want to take what they learn and teach other people, because I've learned from some of the greatest. That's how we met. So, so we've had some great teachers, but also willing to not worry about money, because I would definitely teach that you can manifest whatever you want. And does that make me money hungry? No. It's just that, if I teach you that, then that shouldn't be an issue, but you got to really believe it. That's the thing. You got to believe that you can. Um, and they want to change the world too. They want to be change agents, because all the women that I have attracted all want to be at change agents. Like I said, they are a version of myself somewhere, and I'll be like, and I see it, I'll be like, oh, here we go. God, really? But that's the law of attraction. You're gonna attract who you are, you know. So I want those women who are ready to make a change, who are highly functional, who are um, outdoing themselves. They just know that there's something missing and they don't know how to get to it, because that's how it was with me. I was like, I know it's more, but how do I get to more? You know, and you can discover what more is on your journey. You don't have to have all of it figured out. If you had it all figured out, then you don't need nobody. So, right? So,
Yeah, and I think that
yeah,
that is a really important part too, because what you don't have to be at the mountaintop, you just need to be two steps ahead of whoever you're teaching. So
yeah,
it's
yeah.
there, and I believe a lot of times people find it aspirational to see the part of your journey, because like I show up in the world straight, no chaser. So like I'm not going to pretend like, if it's 50 shades of crazy, I'm going to say, you know what, this was 50 shades of crazy, or this season in my life is this, and these are the tools or the way that I'm dealing with it. I speak about community, I speak about coaching, because people need to know. They don't want to see your representative. They need to meet you. They need to meet the real you, because if we don't put the real us out there, how are people going to raise their hand and say, you're my person and I want to
And,
work
and then what are
with
we
you?
doing? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? You know,
Yeah.
what are we doing? I have no problem about, well, you know this. I have, and people who've been, I have no problem with being transparent, because it's important for everybody to know that they're not the only person who's been through some certain things, because a lot of
100%.
people are going around like, I'm the only person. No, you're not. I promise you, you're not the only person. They come to our workshops and they find out and they find community. You know what I'm saying? Because then, and that's what it's supposed to be. You find your community of people who understand what you've been through, and they want to relate, and we help each other to get to the other side, because the other side is beautiful. It's good over here, y'all.
Yeah.
And one other thing, just because we're coaches don't mean we don't go through stuff. I had somebody, I was in a class or something, somebody had came and saw me speak somewhere, or they recognized me. She was like, "What you doing in here?" I'm like, "What am I supposed to learn?" Like, I'm in here with the same reason you trying to learn about YouTube, right? I'm like, what? So they have, a lot of people have this, we think because we're speakers and coaches, they have this like this idea of what we should be, and not knowing that everything that we went through is so we can help, a lot of stuff so we can help y'all. I can't relate to you if I didn't go through what I went through,
Right.
and quiet as a kept, y'all don't even know we both going through stuff right now.
Right.
But
Right.
it won't
Exactly.
look like it. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? And that's what it does with affirmations. You get to this point where you know what to do. When you work on your mindset, that subconscious, you know what to do. You just, it's not shutting down. We definitely deal with emotions. We definitely cry, you know, we deal with it, but it's not the same before you start your healing process, because you might cry for days or be depressed and things like that. Which it happens, but you just know what to do. You know how to get through those trying and difficult times in life. You know what to do. It don't feel good, but you know what to do. It's a difference.
100. Yeah, 100%. And what I say all the time is do not do not trust a coach who doesn't have a coach. Because if
Period.
you're not coachable, how are you going to teach somebody? If you don't learn, if you're like you said, if you're not willing to learn, like every time I take a step or a level up in my life, in my business, whatever it is, I go and find somebody who's already where I want to be.
Period.
Why reinvent the wheel when you can go to somebody who's already done it? And I
Exactly.
believe, like you just said, we've learned from great people. Why would I not share what I've learned with people who are coming to learn from me? And be again transparent. Like, my one coach said this. You had said something the other earlier about boundaries, and like one of my favorite, it's one of my closest friends, but they're also like a shit, they're like a prophet, really, in so many ways. And one of the things he says all the time is, after me, you're first. And I
Mm.
love that, like, after me, you're first, but I'm gonna take care of me first. And
A
so
t-shirt. He need to put that on a t-shirt and
I'm
then send
telling
it
you,
so
he
I can
really
wear
does. Yeah. So like that's the thing. So like you were talking about being in community. sharing, because if you don't have a scarcity mindset, like if you know that there is plenty for everyone, that's how you build community. So that if somebody comes to me and I'm like, nah, this is not my client, but it is Malaun's, I'm going to send them over because I know Malaun
Yeah.
can help them.
Yeah.
I don't have to like worry about that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not
Yeah.
locked into that. And I don't enjoy people. Yes, we are in business. Yes, we value who we are and we charge accordingly. And yet we're not transactional. You don't have to be transactional because you do well by doing good. When you serve, your gifts will make room for you. And we create an opportunity to be of service, to build community, and to celebrate other people because we're just, what does it say? All the boats rise with the tide. I'm kind of paraphrasing it, but like when the
So
tide
right.
comes in, all the boats get to rise up.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we do. So
I
on
win,
that
you
note,
win.
say
Yeah.
what?
I win, you win. I mean, it
Right.
is what it is. I'm gonna celebrate you. When you started doing this, I think I text you like, girl, you better get out there and tell them this message. Girl, you better go. And we send each other those messages. It's no competition.
Yeah.
No, there's nothing but love and community
Yeah.
here. So I just wish other people will understand that. That's how we grow and that's how we are powerful. So yeah,
So to that end, where can people find you?
you can find me on my website. M Drive Inc. D as in David, R as in Ride, I as in Isaac, D as in Victor, E as in everything, Inc. Inc.com. You can find me on social media. You can find me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. I'm getting to TikTok. It's so much work, the content. But you can find me with my name, which is Maluam Rice, Malaunrice is my last name. That's where you can find me. Or if you became a member or whatever happens, you can always ask Roz and she would write to me.
Yes, yes. And I will drop all the links in the show notes so they'll be able to find you from there. And yeah, so sis, like just thank you for taking this time. I'm so glad we finally got to do it. Like you were saying,
Yes,
we knew it was going to happen, and I'm
eventually.
super excited about it. And for those of you who have stayed with us this long, thank you so much. I so appreciate you. Make sure that you hit that subscribe and like, and then hit the bell so you get notified when I am dropping another
Yes,
episode of Conversations. Leave a comment below. Let me know what else you want to hear about, what you want to talk about. What was your aha moment here? What is your takeaway? And if you want to learn more about the Standout Storytelling Live Workshop, hit me up. Again, there'll be a link, but shoot me a message. I answer my messages. I respond to my comments because I'm grateful. I'm grateful that you took this time out. There's so much content out there and you took the time to rock with us. So I
yes.
appreciate that. I rock with you. And I'm super excited. And I just want to remind you, as always, to continue to think big and dream even bigger. I'll see you
Now,
soon.
before we go, sis,
Yes.
I'm going to give something away.
All
The
right.
first person who asks a question about our conversation, I will mail you a copy of my journal.
Cool
I
enough.
might
Oh,
choose
your
your
journal is
journal.
beautiful too. I love that
Yes.
journal.
Yes. All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you, Roz. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. I love you, sis.
Love you back so
Yeah.
much.
All right.